Younger, you might wonder why old women collect so many silly little things, and then you become those women.
More and more young people are putting down their phones and embracing so-called grandma hobbies. Things like knitting, gardening, baking, embroidery.
Okay, our friend and DIY expert Jen Tryon joins us this morning to show us how to bring Grandmacore into our lives with another edition of Hey, I Can Make That with Jen Tryon. Jen, good morning to you. Let's just start with why so many millennials and Gen Z members want to do what their grandmothers have been doing.
Well, I mean, you can't fight human nature. And honestly, I do think during COVID, I know we're kind of tired of talking about COVID, but it brought us back to more sustainability, more self-sufficiency. And a lot of times what we were doing in COVID was baking bread, fixing things ourselves. And we had a lot of time. We saw sales of sewing machines, for example, spike as people started making masks. And then they kind of got back into doing these kinds of things. And with it came this great feeling of pride, this great, like, I really can do this. I remember my grandma doing that. And with it, you can't get that feeling in buying something from the store. So I think that's why it's really caught on.
Okay, so let's get nostalgic right now and start creating. What are you doing? Because I think that's what you're going to want us to do.
I'm finger knitting, okay? Which is basically the act of knitting where you don't need any tools but a little bit of yarn. And so all you're gonna do here, and all you need to, you've got some yarn there with you, looks great.
Me too.
The
morning show yarn.
Yeah, by the way, ask for this by name in stores. We've got our own brand of yarn. We usually spin a few yarns here on the show. Now we're actually bringing it to
see how
you.
this yarn is chunkier than, say, this yarn, which is really, really skinny. This one's chunky.
Yep.
We like it. We like them chunky. So, yeah, I love that song. So you're going to wrap the yarn around your fingers just like this. You're going to in and out just like that to get you started. Okay? Look at my hands, always full of ink and crafty things. So I'm making here a little mug cozy. And so you can see, oh yeah, there's my grandma button tin. Every good grandma and everyone has one of those. So that's very Grandmacore, having a button tin. We'll use that a little bit later. But watch how I do this here. I'm wrapping just in and out of my fingers. This is just to get you started on the craft, okay? And then once you've got yourself wrapped around your fingers, just like that, you're gonna start pulling the bottom loop over top of the top loop and then over top of your fingers. And once you kind of start doing it, like you'll have a little tail in no time. So one goes over the next and then goes over the next. Once you get through all of your fingers, then you're gonna wrap that yarn around your fingers again. Yep. And then you're just gonna be speedy. You're just gonna keep on going, taking one loop over the next finger, over the next finger, and over the next finger, and you'll be able to do it. And then grab that button tin once you've got it, and you can secure a button in place just with a regular needle and thread. And then when you're finished, then you've got this sort of mug cozy that helps, keep the warmth in. You made it yourself, add your button, and this is a really great place to start if you don't know how to knit, if you don't have knitting needles, but all of that kind of warmth, and it's a great place to start.
Yeah. Jen, how do you think
doing?
I've done so far? I feel like I got a little lost.
I sort of feel like you might be like a cat with a ball of yarn. Like you might end up getting totally tied up.
Right? That's exactly what I became. A cat fixated on the ball of yarn. So
I think I got to work on mine too. But yeah. I feel like I know where you're going with this. Yeah. Now, did you want to show us something else?
Well, I think we can move on. Like, let's talk about some of the other Grandmacore crafts that have really taken, Gen Zers by storm. And to be honest, women in general, it's not to exclude men, but we've really seen a resurgence in quilting. And in fact, I myself hosted a quilting bee this past weekend. It was a real women helping women kind of experience. And this is what people are really loving about Grandmacore. What we did was we got everybody to come to my studio. We gave everybody squares of fabric. And what we did is create 12 quilts in one day to donate to our local women's shelter. And this was a real act of what Grandmacore really stands for, that warm feeling that, creating something yourself really allows you to achieve. And so when we all got together and did this and then donated 12 quilts, and really it's just the act of
That's
putting
fantastic.
squares together. And this is what you end up with, just a patchwork quilt. I'll show you how you can do it, because as long as you have even squares, like let's say you started with 6 by 6 inch squares and just sewed one square together, then the other square together, and then sewed those two together. Eventually you'll build and you'll have a big quilt like this. And this is really start to feel the warmth of Grandmacore.
Love it. And we are feeling the warmth of Grandmacore. Thank you, Jen Tryon.